She said start.
Hi, and welcome to our second part of our three-part interview with CMSV players. And I'm here with Delaney, and I'm here with Andrea. Hi guys, well, how's it going?
Good, thanks.
You recently had a performance in October for your show Taste of Broadway. How did that go?
It was actually really successful, I have to say. There was a lot of challenges with it. We had a lot of different people coming in and out of the cast, a lot of technical difficulties. Like it just seemed every day brought a new setback or challenge to us. But honestly, like when we performed it, it was such a success, and everyone involved in it had such a great time. And we were so happy to just provide a show that really was fun for players. And a lot of people who came to see it said that they had fun watching it as well. So I think that was what the most important thing was about it.
I would say the same thing. There were a lot of challenges presented to us, and for a while it was kind of like we were worried about it, honestly, just like how it was going to go, because it was just, we had schedule problems, we had cast problems, and we really pulled it together, and I was like pleasantly surprised with how it ended up coming out. So I thought it was a lot of fun. We got some great new people, some great old people, and I think it came out to be a great show.
I'm glad you guys were able to have a fun time at the show, and everyone watching was having a great time. What's different about A Midsummer Night's Dream in comparison to A Taste of Broadway?
I feel like everything's different. The more obvious stuff, there's no music in Midsummer. It's a straight play. So that's, in some ways, for some people it's easier, some it's harder. Mm-hmm. For us, I think it's a little bit easier because we don't have to worry about, like in Taste of Broadway, our struggle was, to have someone play piano for us and to learn music. We don't have to worry about that, but we also have, some people that aren't as experienced in acting, especially with Shakespeare. So that's hard for some of them. And then also Midsummer is just a bigger show, longer rehearsals, more intense rehearsals. And the biggest difference for me is that in Midsummer I just have to act. In Taste of Broadway we also had to direct it ourselves.
Right.
And we have, now we have John Salomak directing, and he's been awesome. And, it's kind of nice that someone else takes the reins. But I think it's totally different, but they're both really fun to do.
And I think, every show has different components. Like Andrea was saying, like when we did Taste of Broadway, we had to worry about that musical part, and we had to worry about the choreography. We had to worry about everything with it. And now I think it's more of a process of working alongside John. He really worries about the directing of the show, and we kind of focus more on getting the show together, getting all the props and everything. But that's a lot easier when you're just focusing on that acting component. So even though it is Shakespeare, I feel like the actors are having a much almost easier time with it, just because everything is so together and everything's running so smoothly with it, and there's really just that one part you have to focus on.
And I would say, to add on to that, the casts are, a lot of people were in both, but the cast for Midsummer is just very solid. Not to diminish the cast of Taste of Broadway, because they turned out awesome in the end, but it's just been a very solid cast. It's been consistent all the way through, so we've been able to grow a little bit more together, I think. But the Taste of Broadway cast was smaller too, so it was definitely close-knit, but it's just two different experiences. It's really cool.
How did you decide on A Midsummer Night's Dream for the full show?
We actually had a forum back at the end of the spring semester in 2016, where we asked players, people who had been in Players and whatnot, to come. Obviously, we didn't have maybe some of the newcomers, but at the same time we really wanted to show the people in our club that we're serious about doing what they want us to do. We want to give them the experience that they're looking for. So we knew we wanted to do a straight play in the fall and do more of a musical experience in the spring. So we put it out there, like, what kind of play would you like to do? I think some of the names we had in there was like Laramie Project or Almost Maine, all these different ones that are straight plays, and it really came down to people really wanted a Shakespeare show. So then when we took the Shakespeare show and we said, okay, well, here's the people we have, here's kind of the sets and the things that we have, what can we work with? And I think we came up with Midsummer's is really, it's a fun show, it's a comedy, so it's a funny show to see. A lot of people can relate to it, so that's what really made us decide on that.
Yeah, she pretty much said it all. I actually forgot for a second how we came up with it, because that was actually a very, I feel like that was a quick and cohesive decision for us, because after we had the idea of Shakespeare, we were like, let's give it a try, because I don't think Players has ever done Shakespeare before, at least in our recent memory. So we thought it'd be fun, we thought it'd be a challenge, we thought it was something new, and yeah, Midsummer, out of all the Shakespeare shows, I think is perfect for who we have, and the material in Midsummer compared to other Shakespeare shows is a little bit lighter, more fun, and I think a little bit easier to understand or even enjoy if you don't necessarily understand
Well,
it.
and I think also the great thing that John's doing is he's made it very, in a sense, modern. It's done postmodern. It's usually done postmodern because that kind of gives you the fantastical elements in the show. But he's made, a lot of jokes, a lot of things that people are going to come see and they're going to be able to relate to. Like, hey, I know that I think at some point in the show somebody, does a little dab or something like that. Like, he makes it very, applicable to today's society, today's jokes, things that people are going to find funny now.
Yeah, when I know you interviewed John and Julia the other day, and they kept using the word whimsical for like how we're doing the show, and kind of quirky and just kind of fun and giving. I think, we looked less into the storyline and the lines, but we made each character have their own personality, and which makes them, more relatable to college students. And we tried to do this as, as the characters, but also as ourselves, and incorporate parts of our own personalities into it. So I think it's going to be something that people, who aren't like Shakespeare buffs are still going to really enjoy, because it's not, strictly Shakespeare. It's kind of different. It's fun.
Well, how did you decide on how did you decide on John Salamack as a director?
Well, he actually directed Footloose last year for us, which we loved him for that. He was fantastic. And so I think we really wanted to kind of experiment with his directing abilities in a straight play, because he did Footloose before, and that was great because it's a musical, but like we said, directing a musical is very different. So we were just excited to have him back. He does Players anyways. If he hadn't been directing, he would have been involved in the show in some form. So we always loved to have him as a big part of our family, and I think it was an easy decision. I think we were really ready to see what he could do with it.
Yeah, everyone knows, but John is the he's the graduate assistant in student activities, and we all know him well. He does Players anyway, and he, isn't maybe he doesn't have a degree in theater or anything, but he's experienced and he's done a lot of theater before, and he loves it. That's the thing I really noticed about John, is that he really does, genuinely enjoy doing it. And, last year he directed Footloose, and I've never directed a musical, but I'm pretty sure it's harder than directing a straight play. I mean, depending on who you are, but so I think after we saw how he handled Footloose, we knew we could handle it, and we all really enjoy him, being around him, and he just has so many ideas that we don't always have ourselves, when he brings something really new to it, and everyone likes him, like I said, and gets along and respects him. And also, he has a very specific style of directing, I think, that's really cool, which is that he has all these ideas, but he also really wants the show to be a product of all of us, if you know what I mean. He's definitely a yes man for the most part. Julie and John were talking about this the other day, about how they directed Side by Side and how they really have to both bring each other back down to earth sometimes, because they both have these big ideas. But I think that's a good problem to have, that's just that they have these such big ideas, but John says yes to 99% of the things we want to do, and it just gets everyone, once someone has an idea and is like, wait, can I do this? And he's like, yeah, then someone else is like, wait, if they do this, and I'm going to do this, and then it just really makes the show, our own, and I think that's what's so fun about it.
Well, you guys have mentioned John's huge role working with you guys for Midsummers. Do you guys have parts in the show?
So actually the whole e-board's always involved in the show. We have, part of our e-board is stage manager position. So, Marquise Dekaya is actually our stage manager, and she's hugely involved in the show, because she's doing all of the behind the scenes work. But beyond that, the rest of the e-board members, have a role in the show. So I actually play, Puck, or Robin, who's the fairy that kind of runs around and everything in the show. And then Andrea is playing one of the lovers.
Yeah, I'm playing Helena, which is a super fun, interesting part to play. But we're on eBoard, but we all went out and auditioned for the show, just like everyone else. So
yeah.
As eBoard members, we kind of get to, we help make the decisions of what show to do and who's going to direct. But after that, it's in
his hands, and it's so funny because Andrea and I both auditioned on the same day, right? The whole e-board was actually at the auditions, sitting outside, introducing ourselves, welcoming people who were joining the show. And I was very nervous for my audition. I really wanted the part that I ended up getting, and Andrea really wanted the part that she ended up getting. But afterwards, her and I went and had dinner together, and we were both sitting waiting for the cast list, and we were so nervous because and John said this, that he originally was thinking of us in each other's roles.
Yeah.
As the opposite of what we are now, and we both wanted the other thing, and he ended up seeing that we were capable of that and that he liked that fit. But we were both so nervous about it. We were both like, oh, I hope you get the other part. Right?
Yeah, exactly.
So it's not like there's any exception for us. We definitely have to put in just as much work as any other player, and just dedicate ourselves to that.
Yeah, and it's cool to see, you know, what roles people end up in that you might not have expected them in, and then there's other parts that are just perfect. Like John said this about Footloose and about this show, but like everyone fit into their part so well, you know. So yeah, I was really happy to be playing Helena, and then our other E-Board members, Victoria and Mairead, are also in the show as Hermia and
yeah, Victoria
Bottom.
plays the other lover.
The other
Victoria's
lover,
our
kind of
PR
my rival.
representative. She plays Hermia, and Andrea's Helena. And then Mairead actually plays a character named Bottom, who is some sort of, I think he's a carpenter or something like that. But his main role in the show is that he's actually an actor with his friends, and then has a little trick played on him by Puck. So I don't want to give that away, but it's very funny, and she may or may not end up with some sort of huge mask on her head. So you should definitely come see it for what's gonna get stuck on Mairead.
Yeah. Yeah, we're all in the show, and we all really enjoy, I think, all aspects of theater. So we like acting, we like directing, and it's really fun to be able to do it all.
Well, you guys are not only in the show, but I've heard that you guys have also a hand working behind the scenes. So what is your part as an E-Board in producing the show?
Do you want to speak to that? Or?
Besides, you know, before, like I said, for the most part with E-Board, we get to make some decisions beforehand and really like think things out, you know, of what can we do, what should we do. We have to manage the budget, which is a challenge, but we make those decisions, then we really put it in the hands of the directors. But still now, you know, we're promoting our show is a big thing we have to do right now. We don't make the big decisions in tech, like we didn't, you know, draw out what we want the set to be, but we had to find people to do that, and we have to, you know, find time to do that and things like that. So we're kind of in charge of facilitating what everyone else does, I guess, in a way.
And it's so funny because I feel oftentimes like I take on that kind of role of like just getting in there and you do this and you do this and you do this, and it makes us seem bossy as an E-Board, but at the same time you need somebody doing that, because otherwise people are just standing there like, what do I do? How do I help? All this stuff has to get done. So we really look to people, everybody who's involved in the show has a hand in creating the show, which is really amazing. I know John's friend Savannah is helping with the costuming, so that's a huge help. We actually have Allison Todd, who's the president of the ABG Club, and she's designing our set, like painting it and everything, so it's going to be this gorgeous set down in Cahill. But with that comes, you know, I had to facilitate a time for us to go and pick out the paints and pick out the utensils that we're going to use to paint, and it's little stuff like that that really needs the attention of the E-Board, because otherwise it's just kind of a hot mess of people. Well, I want to do this, I want to do this. You have to bring it together like, all right, well, we're going to, you know, get this for that time and get this for this time, and we're going to all meet this time. And so it's really about pulling all the different parts together, because, you know, you leave the director in charge of directing the actors, and then you leave, you know, the set designer, she's designing the set, that's great. Well, she still needs the stuff to design the set. So I think it's about getting all that together.
Well, along with all the fun, I know that there's been a couple difficulties along the way. So what would you say is the biggest obstacle of the show?
I think everyone has a different, like for this show, I don't think there was like a big obstacle we had to face. Like I could tell you for other shows what we've had, you know, there's been like bigger obstacles. For this show it wasn't as much, but I think individual people, some people in the show, like Shakespeare is not easy to memorize or to, you know, understand and act. Some people in the show have over 500 lines that they're memorizing, or you know, 200, 300, 400 lines. It's not easy, you know, and it's not written in language that we're used to.
Right.
And most of what we're doing is not necessarily dialogue, but a lot of monologue. So a lot of people are really having to crack down now on their memorization and just understanding. And then I would say that's the only real big challenge I can think of. I think individual people, you know, time management is always a big thing, because we started out with a lesser rehearsal schedule, but now we're at least 3 hours every night.
Yeah.
We're rehearsing, and you have to be, you know, present while you're there and focus on just that. And, you know, we have classes, we have
And
people have
it's
work,
not just 3
other
hours a
clubs.
night, you know, because you
have to
have
memorize
people
your
who
lines
come
outside
in who are
rehearsal.
just like, I've been staring at the script for hours and it's just not sticking. So it's about also putting in that time outside of rehearsal to really dedicate yourself to the show. And I feel like in addition, I think Andrea was mentioning this before about how we all have very big dreams for the show. We all have a big vision for it and all these amazing things we want to do. But of course, as I think every club runs into, you know, there's budgeting issues. Like, how do we fit this in? How do we navigate this the best so that we can do everything we want to do? And taking something that was your vision and then maybe downplaying it can be hard. And I think all of us have been struggling with that a little bit, but in the end, we always find a way to make it work.
Yeah, it's like there's kind of this balance because part of what we do as players is we have these big ideas and we go after them. I mean, this year, even doing both Taste of Broadway and the main stage show in one semester is a big challenge.
Yeah.
We're already talking about, you know, our musical and our other plans for next semester, and we're trying to, you know, as a club, we're trying to go up. You know, we're trying to make things bigger than they were before and better, but you can't, you know, sometimes you do have to bring yourself back down.
Right.
And then for this show, yeah, it's definitely been about, like, even getting to do this show in Cahill was like a big deal for us. So, you know, we have to take what we can get and work with it, I guess.
Well, now that the show is coming closer to curtain, what's each of your favorite things about Midsummer Night's Dream?
I mean, I love the show. I've done the show before, and it's so fun, and whimsical is such a good way to describe it. But I think my favorite thing about us doing the show is that we are in Cahill. People who have ever worked in Hayes know that Hayes is a very older space to work in, and so it has a lot of different technologies that maybe aren't as big as we'd like them to be. And then you go down to Cahill, and Cahill has all these amazing bells and whistles that you can work with. I mean, if you look at their, you know, lighting panels, they have like 16, 18 lighting panels alone, and then their sound quality is amazing, their stage is amazing. It's a great black box space, like, and we've never really been able to use Cahill in the past. There's actually an outside theater group, Red Monkey players, who use the space, and we months and months and months in advance, back in spring, right after our last show, I think we came together and said, we want Cahill. We want to work in it. It's at our school. We are the drama club on our school. We want to have this space. And so we worked with John. John was really integral in that, into making that happen. And so we got the space reserved, and we've been working hard to use it ever since. So I'm really excited that we're performing it there because it's a very professional space, and I think it really, like Andrea was saying, just gets the players to where they need to be, gets them bigger, gives them new experiences. That's what we're really looking for.
I would definitely agree about Cahill. It's really exciting because everything you said, and then also it's a very, like, much more intimate space than Hayes because, you know, if you've been to Hayes, it's big and it has lots of seats, but you know, we obviously don't fill up Hayes, you know.
Right.
And I think it's going to be better for our audience and for us, and even like the relief of, because when we're in Cahill, it's a smaller space, we don't have to use mics, so we don't have to deal with that difficulty, and it's going to be so much nicer to, like, not have to worry about, I mean, of course we're still working on our voices and things like that, but not to have to worry about how people are going to hear us and see us, but know that they are going to hear us and see us. And also the stage is called the thrust stage in Cahill, and so there's audience sitting on 3 sides of the stage. And that's so much more to work with because now, you know, we don't have to be facing forward the entire time. We can do all kinds of different things physically. So that's what really excites me about that. And then also, Midsummer is my favorite Shakespeare show. All the characters are interesting and they're funny and they're also very deep at the same time, you know. So just like dissecting the show has been really fun to realize it's about the, Midsummer has like 3 or 4 different storylines in it. And so it's kind of chaotic, but it's also really cool. And I feel like everyone, like, we have, you know, the 4 Athenian lovers, we have the mechanicals, we have the fairies, and I feel like every different group is bringing something different, and every group is, like, getting close with each other and figuring out new things. And then, I mean, I say this about every show I'm in, but the cast is really the best part, what makes it worth it. I mean, I love the new people that have come in, and I've seen so many people in this show have, like, never acted before, or never acted Shakespeare before. And everyone has really taken on the challenge, and some people are, you know, like, finding something they love out of this that they didn't know they were into before. And that's what really excites me, is just to see how excited everyone else is about it. And even those of us who have acted before or have done Shakespeare are really excited about our characters and about this specific show. Yeah. And I think the set's going to be cool. I think the final product of the show is going to be awesome.
Well, guys, are there any final words you'd like to say to the people watching?
I want to say thank you to everyone who's supported us not only this semester but especially in the show, because it has been such a huge deal and such a undertaking, it being a Shakespeare, but I think that it's really gone smoothly and we're expecting an amazing performance. The performances are going to be November 18th through 20th. The 18th and the 19th are at 7 p.m. in Cahill Theater, and then the 20th is going to be a matinee, so this is Sunday performance. It's $3 for students or $5 for outside guests, and then if you donate a gently used hats, gloves, scarves, any kind of cold weather items, you actually get free entrance, and that's because we're collecting those for Campus Ministries midnight runs with the cold weather approaching, so they're going to go to somebody in need. So we really hope to see you there.
Yeah, I would say the same thing. Just, please come see the show. It's going to be really fun. We're very proud of it, and I know it's going to be enjoyable, like I said. Even if you don't think you like Shakespeare, it's different from what you'd expect from Shakespeare or from anything, I think. And I think it's different from other player shows we've done before. So I say just, come see it, give us a chance, come see us, and it's going to be a lot of fun.
Promise if you see it, you're going to be, laughing until the cows come home, right?
It is, yeah, it's going to be fun, it's funny, and it's upbeat, and it's going to be a good show.
Well, thank you for tuning in, everyone. And also remember to go see A Midsummer Night's Dream, November 18th to the 20th. And also tune in for part 3. And thank you for watching.